A lovely and warm welcome to the news on Hope Channel Zambia television that changes lives. You're catching us live on channel number 450 on the Top Star decoder, and others are catching us on the movie bouquet on channel number 25. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, the handle being Hope Channel Zambia. Let's take a look at stories making headlines in the news. Flood victims in Mandevu and Kanyama constituencies receive relief aid. Lusaka province minister sounds battle war against junkies in Lusaka. Government to repeal and replace the Plant Pests and Disease Act. In other news, men called upon to avoid containing pain, which may lead to suicidal actions. These and more stories coming up shortly. Don't go away.
My wife, bumper harvest. Eh?
Daddy,
I'm telling you.
your new fertilizer. Ni amen.
Eh?
Daddy, my
Tell you.
Hello. My instructions. I
went to ETG, and now we are enjoying the benefits of using a blended D-compound fertilizer as basil and Kynoplus as top-dressing fertilizer instead of urea that we used last year. Now look here. This year, it has given me 4 tons. 4 tons! But last year, it was only 1.8 tons. Kynoplus has given all my crops the nitrogen that I paid for. Wow. It has saved me money. Telling you.
Understanding the difference between soil and crop-specific fertilizers, therein lies strength for Kynoplus blended fertilizers. More value in a bag. Available in the ETG depots countrywide, with a network providing agronomy services to farmers across the country. Kynoplus. Enhanced efficiency through innovation. A product of ETG.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Bright SINKOZI with the details. My sign language interpreter is Sharon AKUFUNA. The details. Lusaka Province Minister Shel Muriata, working together with the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, today donated assorted relief items to flood victims in Kanyama and Mandevu constituencies, respectively. The items donated included milimu, beans, carpenter, and some beddings. Speaking when she addressed the victims, Honorable Muriata said government will not neglect its people when they are faced with disasters such as floods. She said government will always endeavor to come to people's aid because disasters are unforeseen circumstances. And DMMU National Coordinator Dr. Gabriel Poleni said relief will always come to every Zambian who has been faced with disaster despite their political affiliation. Mwene Muyanga has more in this report.
Lusaka Province Minister Honorable Shel Muriata has today, with the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, donated relief items to flood victims in Mandevu and Kanyama constituency. Among the items donated were milimu, beans, and blankets to victims who were flooded a few weeks ago. Minister assured Mandevu residents of the needed help and later proceeded to Kanyama and gave a similar address.
Talbwera kuno brurubanga kubwera kuona vuto yamene munali nayo pakati hapa kuti boma tizasebenza bwanji, boma tizanja na bwanji naimwe tizatandiza bwanji. Mafloods amene analiko hapa sikulenga kwa boma iyayi, ni mwine wake mlengi analeta manzi pepani achibali. Tinamvera kuti mafladi mwamene muja vakudya vinataika vakine na manyumba nankala obwedekeka pang'ono vakine tinamvera kuti navovara vinasoba pamene boma inakamba kuti bantu batu bakalira sichena kubalekelera so. One, tena na kupeza lasting solution tizachita bwanji. Ndiye pamene a president vanu imwe va president va republic ya ziko ya Zambia vananena kuti DMMU under the vice president's office ngenamoni vanabwera ndipo vabwera vaona kuti uku kuntu kufunika kwenda tandizo.
Meanwhile, Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU National Coordinator Dr. Gabriel Pollen assured Mandevu residents that after its disaster assessment, victims will receive the needed aid regardless of their political affiliation.
We don't care which political party you belong to. You are a Zambian. And because the government cares that you are a Zambian, because you've been affected by disasters, we are here to provide the required relief. This is what we call evidence-based disaster management. The evidence has come on the ground, we have established, we have assessed, and we have found that people have been adversely affected by disasters around the country.
And some of the beneficiaries have since thanked government for the help rendered.
Tayamikira kuri ba president pa vintu vamene vachita. Tayamikira kwambiri mulungu abadalise.
The Lusaka Province Minister was accompanied by Lusaka District Commissioner Mrs. Rosa Zulu, who has also been instrumental in offering relief to many Lusaka residents who have been affected by different kinds of disaster. Mwenemianga Hope News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the provincial minister, Shel Muriata, says days are numbered for junkies in the province. Speaking in an interview with Hope News in Lusaka today, the minister has reaffirmed government's commitment to fight cadreism and other bad vices related to misconduct among youths in the country, including the notorious junkies. Mrs. Muriata said her office is working closely with the Zambia police and members of the community to bring to book all suspected junkies in the province. She has since sounded a strong warning to every Zambian intending to parade themselves in doing unlawful acts and that the law will take its course. She said government prioritizes people's rights to move freely without harassment and that peace, law and order should prevail in the country at all times.
One, when we came in government, the president made pronouncements that we should be a free people. Free in the sense that before this government, there was a lot of cadreism. And you know what it did to our people. People could not walk freely. People were beaten just because I'm wearing a t-shirt that doesn't belong to this party. I am harassed, I am abused, some women were raped, and the president stopped that. So we are coming to these junkies, whatever you call them, Yankees. This is not right. 2 weeks ago, a student was killed at university. You saw our children protesting. These people must be brought to book. We have upped the security. The police are giving patrols at that place. How I wish the police can extend their patrols even here in the compounds so that our people feel much safer. This is a free Zambia. We are a democratic nation. We believe in our freedoms. Therefore, people must not torment a fellow Zambian. People must not kill a fellow Zambian. That is from the old regime. UPND, under the able leadership of our president, Hakainde Hichilema, we want people to have their freedoms. We want people to move freely. A woman can move freely without being tormented. So, yes, the police have made leeway. We are closing in on these Yankees. We will catch them. We will catch them because we want law and order in Zambia, indeed in Lusaka province.
Stanbic Bank Zambia has donated assorted medical equipment and other social goods to the University Teaching Hospital, UTH Children's Hospital, worth over 180,000 kwacha as part of their corporate social responsibility. Stanbic Chief Financial Officer Mizimo Chitambo Musogotwani In an interview with Hope News shortly after the donation, said the money was a contribution from members of staff, with the bank adding half of that amount. She also disclosed that the bank has adopted a ward which they will continue supporting from time to time, like they have done in the past. And UTH Children's Hospital Senior Medical Superintendent, together with other senior members of staff, have expressed gratitude on the gesture. We have more in this report.
Stanbic Bank today donated goods worth 180,320 kwacha to UTH Children's Hospital. Mizima Musokotwane, Chief Financial Officer for Stanbic Bank, says the donations are intended to improve healthcare for the children.
As a finance team, we have been on this journey since 2016, so it's an annual thing that we do. So our members of staff, obviously, will put aside some money, and the bank comes in to match whatever amount of money the members of staff puts together. So what we've given today is worth about 180,000, so 90,000 from the members of staff, and 90,000 was matched by the bank. It gives us great pride and joy. I think for us as Stanbic Bank, Zambia is our home and we drive for growth. And this is one of the ways we can partner with whichever government is there to just foster the development of our nation. So that's really what today was about. Really taking time with our busy schedules, remembering the young children at heart. We have adopted the ward. So it was really to set time apart and come and see what's needed in the ward and give a token for whatever work is about.
She adds that the bank has adopted Ward A08 in the Children's Clinic and will stay committed as needs keep changing.
So it's going to be an ongoing thing that we do. Needs are ever changing. But obviously, when we did come much earlier in 2018, we did a very big renovation. Our aluminium is still standing strong there. So it's an ongoing discussion with the staff here to see what would be needed for the ward. Obviously, it has to be something that's sustainable. So we will, on an ongoing basis, continue to communicate with them, and they'll let us know what their needs are.
And Musaka Munachani, the Senior Medical Superintendent, says the donations complement government's efforts to give quality care to children.
As you know, we're a grant-aided institution, meaning that we rely on a grant from government. And government has several other institutions that it needs to look after, and therefore there will never be enough money to do that. And so it's gestures like this that come from, the donor community. Or partners or well-wishers such as Stanbic. We've had others in the past, we've had UNICEF, we've had MultiChoice. They've all come to aid. For example, UNICEF has been an elephant in the room. UNICEF renovated our oxygen plant. This oxygen plant has gone on to help other institutions, even during COVID. So you can see that it was going to be such a big strain on the hospital or government to do that. But with the help of partners, we were able to get the oxygen plant up and running. My only plea to other partners out there is, through their, corporate social responsibility obligations, for them to think about the Children's Hospital. I think there's a famous saying by Mandela that a nation that invests in its children is a prosperous nation. So I think that we must think about the next generation, and it takes a lot of investment in children. So we'd like, partners out there, well-wishers out there, to come to our aid to supplement what government is doing for us to deliver quality healthcare.
Right, thank you.
Mwana Kawati, head clinical care at UTH Children's Clinic, thanks Stanbic Bank for their continued support at the Children's Clinic.
I would like to thank Stanbic Bank for their continued support to Children's Hospital. Not only have they brought us toys and nebulizers, they've also brought us books for children who will stay sometimes here for long. So there's that continued education and that continued stimulation for them not to lag behind in their academic activities. So
Annie Sakala reporting for Hope News in Lusaka.
Just now, let's take a break. More stories on the other side. Do stay with us.
A
announcement from the Zambia Adventist Publishing House. We have moved to a new location. We wish to inform our esteemed customers that we have moved to a new location. Our new address is plot number 9221, corner of Independence Avenue and Bama Roads, on Lusaka Conference premises. This move is part of our ongoing effort to better serve our customers and provide a more convenient shopping experience. Please note that our phone numbers, email addresses, and websites will remain the same. Our office hours will also remain the same. We are grateful for your continued business and look forward to welcoming you to our new location. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact us on 0973 714242 or 0978 447469.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. And now for the rest of the news. Government is in the process of repealing and replacing the Plant Pests and Disease Act Cap 233 of 1958 to protect the country's agricultural sector against introduction of new pests and diseases. The process is spearheaded by the Department of Plant Quarantine and Phytosanitary Services and the Ministry of Agriculture that is currently collecting views from stakeholders on the draft plant health bill in all provinces. Speaking when opening the consultative meeting in Choma district of Southern Province, Provincial Permanent Secretary Dr. Naman Monze, in a speech read on his behalf by Southern Province Agricultural Planner Evan Sinkoma, said the act to be repealed is envisaged to enhance the protection of Zambia's agriculture industry against introduction of new pests and diseases in the crop sector. And Plant Quarantine and Phytosanitary Service Director Dr. Kajarayenka Msiska said the act to be repealed will be enforced by his department to prevent pests and diseases that may enter the country through international trade. NICE has more in this report.
The eradication and prevention of introduction of plant pests and diseases in the country is critical to avert food insecurity. The Department of Plant Quarantine and Phytosanitary Services in the Ministry of Agriculture is currently in the process of repealing and replacing the Plant Pests and Diseases Act, Cap 233 of 1958 of the laws of Zambia. Southern Province Permanent Secretary Dr. Namani Monze says the act to be repealed is envisaged to enhance the protection of Zambia's agricultural industry against introduction of new pests and diseases. Dr. Monze, who was speaking in a speech read on his behalf by Southern Province Agricultural Planner Evan Sinkoma, said the repealed act will also ensure access to the international markets for the country's agricultural commodities.
Repealing and replacing of the Plant Pests and Diseases Act, Cap 233 of 1958 of the laws of Zambia, is envisaged to enhance the protection of Zambia's agricultural industry against introduction of new pests and diseases, as well as ensure access to the international markets for the country's agricultural commodities.
And Plant Quarantine and Phytosanitary Service Director Dr. Kajarayenka Msiska said the act will be enforced by his department to prevent pests and diseases that may enter the country through international trade.
There are a number of articles under the WTO, the World Trade Organization, and a number of international standards for phytosanitary measures under the International Plant Protection Convention. And of course, when we talk of market access, the old act was not talking to these things.
Dr. Kafulach Sanga is Mochpepa Zambia Agricultural Research Institute Program Officer.
Input in this plant
health bill. This bill is very important. As you know, whatever enters the country has repercussions on our food security.
Reporting, Lawrence Kabuchu in Choma.
The National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NAKEZ, has bemoaned the silent spread of unlicensed tuition centers in the country. NAKEZ Executive Director Aaron Chansa has told Hope News in a phone interview that tuition centers must be registered and run by registered teachers in order to avoid having learners acquiring average knowledge. Mr. Chansa adds that he fears the booming of unlicensed tuition centers may resurrect the problem of examination malpractices if not monitored keenly. He further advised the Ministry of Education that it should provide a more fertile ground for people to have their tuition institutions registered and at the same time for those owning unlicensed centers to formalize and have them registered.
Yes, we are aware, and our view is that tuition centers should be regularized and must also be run by registered teachers so that we don't expose our learners to people are not trained, people may not even quality staff. So we want to see a situation where we can have normalcy, we can have registered. So they are known, they are traceable, and they can be held responsible in case of anything like they give education a bad name. They also reduce the integrity and the recognition of not only the papers from the system, but also the name of the country. So we would want to see that all forms of exam malpractices are caught. We are aware that the issues of leakages are now under control, but we fear that if not well handled, the same things can still come back. No, they just need to realize that they need to register, but the ministry must also provide the spaces. The ministry must be able to be proactive and make sure that all those that are not registered are registered, and make sure that they do inspections, and all those that are running those centers must be able to be known.
And finally, on the news, the Zambia National Men's Network for Gender and Development has raised concerns over the high number of men who have continued sinking into depression, with some committing suicide after a series of disappointments in relationships. Organization's national coordinator Nelson Banda, in an interview with Hope News, said men should not continue with the old notion that men are to contain their pain, but that they should find someone to talk to in their community, churches, or access free services from his organization, which now has a presence in 15 districts across the country. Mr. Banda said that men who undergo broken relationships, failed marriages, and any form of abuse that leads to depression do not receive much support from the community, hence the need for them to get help when needed.
The problem is that, the way men have been socialized. Particularly, you should look at what has been happening in the past, I think from November up to this time around. Yeah, there's been a number of cases of where men, after being left by their girlfriends, by their spouse, they resort to two things. One is to take the lives of the person that they have been helping for the past maybe 4 years, paying for their school fees. Okay, and then at the end of it all, that woman moves on with somebody else whom they met at university or college, and as a result leaving the person who has been helping them severely depressed. Okay, so and sometimes the men resort to taking their own lives. because of depression of the pain that has come as a result of having gone separate ways. Okay, so this comes as a result because of the way men have been socialized. Men have been socialized to keep everything to themselves, even when they are going through a very traumatizing experience. Okay, it's very rare that you find men sharing those traumatizing experiences with another person closer to them. Okay, so the socialization process that men have been subjected to, or that have been oriented to, requires that you keep the pain to yourselves even when you are going through a very tough time, and that triggers men to take their own lives, which is not very good at all for themselves, for those that are, for their families, and those that they associate with, their friend and so on. It's not a good reason. Okay, what is important when such a thing happens is to seek help, because at the end of the day, I know it is very painful. At the end of the day, you've got another life to live. Okay, if it can't work out, let it go. Okay, you still have a life to live. Yeah, maybe it has even worked well for you, much as we know that it is very painful. Yeah, because it shows that that person was not with you. She was not part of your life. She was just there for material gains. Okay? Yeah. You'll be interested to know that we launched the Men's Conference Center, where we provide counseling, free counseling to men and boys who find themselves in those situations. And we know that it is very difficult for a man to come out like that. They would rather sit at home or go develop other behaviors such as drinking beer in order to overcome such traumatizing stress. I mean, resorting to those kind of behaviors is not good, but what is important is to come out of that situation so that you continue with your normal life. It's not easy, but we believe that you can come out. And for us at Zambia National Men's Network, we launched the Men's Comfort Center, where we provide to men and boys who find themselves in such situations. So we do provide counseling to men that find themselves in those situations. And the response has been very good. Some men have been coming to seek help. Men that have emotional challenges.
As we end the news, let's recap on stories that made headlines. Flood victims in Mandevu and Kanyama constituencies have received relief aid from government. Lusaka Province Minister sounds battle war against junkies in Lusaka. Government to repeal and replace the Plant Pest and Disease Act. Men called upon to avoid containing pain, which may lead to suicidal acts. Thank you so much for your time. On behalf of the entire studio and production team, plus our correspondents across the country, I'm Bright SINKOZI and my sign language interpreter, Sharon. AKUFUNA. God bless and bye for now.